Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the series on ethics from epics. We will now be discussing on the topic of overcome dissension by focusing on common purpose. Dissension refers to infighting. Sometimes when a group of people come together for a noble cause, quite often because of uh, some petty issues, because of misunderstandings, because of a particular person becoming too power hungry, there can be dissensions that come up. So those who had come together united for one particular purpose, they may cracks start appearing in their united front, and those cracks, if they're not addressed, then people, instead of fighting a common enemy, fighting a bigger problem which they had come to overcome, they end up fighting among themselves. In the Mahabharata, Bhishma says that dissension is the greatest enemy of an army, greater than the enemy attacking also, because dissension can defeat an army even before the war happens. So now, how exactly there was dissension seen in the Ramayana? After Sugriva deputed 4 parties to go in the 4 directions to search for Sita, the party that went to the south had many formidable Vanara warriors, and among them the most prominent were Angada, Hanuman and Jambavan. Now they went southwards and they had many adventures. They actually they went inside the a chain of caves which was actually ruled by a mystic lady, and she fed them and she showed them the way out immediately, and then they came further down to the coast, and then when they came to the Indian Ocean, just watched the ocean, and they were overcome by dismay. And when they were overcome by dismay like this, they thought, how big is this ocean? How will we cross over this ocean at all? And what are we to do? As they were thinking like this, not knowing what to do and how to solve the problem, the thought that came in their minds was that the defeat. So actually, as they had been going southward, the month's period was nearly over. Now, Sugriva, in order to instill discipline and urgency into the Vanaras who were going out for search, he had said that anyone who comes later than a month back will be executed. And the point was not that he wanted to execute his own Vanara soldiers, but that he wanted to infuse a sense of urgency in what he was doing. He was infuse a sense of urgency among them in the mission that he was entrusting them with. So now, here there was, as they were considering what to do, so Hanuman, Jambavan, Angad, these were the 3 primary leaders, and they thought that they were discussing whether now the month is over, should we go back and tell that we have not found Sita, or should we press onwards and still seek further on what we should do. So as they were speaking like this, so Angada, he spoke saying that there is no point in going back, because that wicked Sugriva will just be looking for an excuse to execute us. It is better for us to die here rather than to be killed in front of our loved ones, to be ashamed and executed in front of our loved ones. So now Hanuman heard this and he said, Sugriva is a virtuous king. He will never shame or execute us like this. We don't have to worry about them. We should simply think about what is the best way we can serve the mission that was entrusted to us. So now Angada, he was still resenting the death of his father, Vali. Now Angada in his heart knew that what Vali had done was wrong. Vali had unfairly banished Sugriva and had taken his wife for himself, and he had persecuted and even tried to assassinate Sugriva. So he knew in one sense in his heart that what Sugriva had done was, what Vali had done was wrong, but still he had a natural love of a son for his father, and he couldn't accept the idea that his own uncle, his father's brother, had conspired with someone to kill his father. Now he did not blame Ram because he knew that Ram was virtuous and Ram had no enmity against Vali. It was Sugriva who instigated Ram to kill Vali. So from his perspective, he pinned the whole blame for the killing of Vali on Sugriva. And he felt that Sugriva will similarly be resenting me because because earlier I was the heir apparent, I was going to become the next king, and he will consider me as a threat. So he will just want to eliminate me. Now Sugriva was not at all power hungry, and there were no such thoughts in his mind. And actually he treated Angada as the heir apparent, as his successor. He gave him all royal respect and privilege. But Angada's resentment caused his perspective to become warped. And now there were, among the Vanaras who had come on this mission, there were some who were supporters of Angada, and they said, yes, what you're saying is true. So now in dismay, Hanuman and Jamban looked at each other. They said, oh, this is not true. So Angada actually voiced his fears, and he said, if somebody who could kill his brother, he can surely kill his nephew. And he'll be looking for a reason like this. What virtue is there in someone who conspires to kill his own brother? So now Hanuman and Jamban knew that Angada knew the facts, and just telling him the facts would not be of help. And as they were discussing what to do, Angada decided that he would wait. That he said, I will, rather than going back and facing the ignominy of execution in front of my loved ones, I will fast here to death. And he sat down in a yogic posture, and he said, we'll take the Prayavrata. Prayavrata is the vow of fasting till death. And the Prayavrata is taken by those who desire to give up their body, and so they give up food and water, and they focus their consciousness on spiritual truth, and in that way they wait for the body to run its course, and then in that way they give up the body. So as they were thinking like this, as he sat down in the yogi posture to fast to death, and some of his the monkeys who were on his side, they also decided to follow their master. They also sat in the yogic posture. And as they were sitting like this, and Hanuman, Jamban and other monkeys were looking at each other perplexed at the sudden, unfortunate, dismal turn of events. And at that time, suddenly in the distance they saw a giant bird. It was slowly moving towards them, and that bird said, oh, how fortunate I am that Providence has sent so much food for me. And today I will feast on all these monkeys. And as the monkeys looked at each other in horror, this giant bird was moving towards them. And he said, the monkeys started discussing, is this the way Providence is punishing us for having thought of for betraying our master? What is this happening? As the monkeys started grieving, this bird looked so huge that fighting it seemed very difficult. And more importantly, the Vanaras had lost their morale, most of it, because they had thought that how can we fight against someone who is so great. They had already lost their morale because they had failed they had felt that they had failed in their mission to search for Sita, and they were demoralized and overwhelmed. And at that time, this bird just kept marching on. And alas, our mission, the Manara started saying, alas, our mission to save Lord Ram has failed. Just as the valiant Jatayu strived to assist Lord Ram but couldn't succeed and met his death, similarly it seems that our attempts will also end in our death. Alas, alas, they will have grieving. And as they spoke this, suddenly that giant bird, grief swept over his face, and he just froze. He says, "What did you say? Did you say that Jatayu is dead? Alas, alas, what has happened to my brother? Please tell me." And then the Vanas looked at each other in surprise. He says, "Is this Jatayu's brother?" They said, "Who are you?" So he said, "Please tell me about my brother." He said, I am Sampatti, the elder brother of Jatayu. I have not seen my brother for a long time, and now hearing from you about his death, I am struck with grief. Please tell me about my brother, and please tell me who you are." The Vanaras introduced themselves, and as they introduced themselves and they saw the great grief of Sampatti, and they told the whole story. Tears fell on Sampatti's eyes, and Sampatti, amidst his sorrow, he has told them briefly the story of his life. He said how both he and his younger brother Jatayu, they were formidable birds, and they could fly to vast heights. And in their youthful exuberance, once they decided to fly all the way to the sun. And he just kept flying, and they came closer and closer to the sun. But the heat started becoming more and more and more. And Sampatti, although he had the spirit of the competition that was there between brothers, but still he also had a sense of responsibility towards his younger brother. Older brothers often have not just a fraternal relationship with their younger brothers, but also a paternal relationship. They feel protective over the younger brothers. So as they were moving onwards towards the sun, he spread his wings outwards to try to shade Jatayu. So both of them were flying, and Sampatti came above him and tried to shade him to protect him from the heat. And when that happened, now Jatayu was so caught in the passion of the flight of the competition that he did not realize what was happening. He just kept flying, and because Sampatti had spread out his wings, so his wings got burnt. And as his wings got burned, he just fell on the ground. And Jatayu kept flying, and eventually he realized that suddenly it's become too hot. And he just had to veer clear of the course, and then he just couldn't find his brother anywhere. And Sampatti was in no condition to fly because his wings had got burned. And he fell on the ground, and he was grieving his condition. He had lost his brother and he had lost his wings. For a bird to be without wings is an extremely desolate condition. It's a state of great misery. And as Sampatti was living like this, he was thinking about how wretched his life had become. A sage came over there, and that sage told him that actually, do not grieve. Everything that happens has a purpose, and your getting this misfortune is not just a punishment for your impetuosity in trying to approach the majestic sun god, but it is also a part of the plan of the Lord, by which you will play a role in His service later. So he said, you will live here, and by living here, you will wait till the servants of Lord Ram come, and you will do a service for them, and then you will shed this body and attain a celestial body. So as he spoke this, he said, by the sage arrangement, food would come for me every day, but I had not seen my brother Jatayu till now, and now he's dead. But as he was grieving, suddenly he remembered the words of the sage, and he says, yes, now I can not only do the service for Lord Ram that I was meant to do, but I can also help in indirectly in avenging the death of my brother, the murder of my brother. He said, I am too weak to fight anymore. I can't even fly, leave alone fight. But my sight is not diminished. And he said that I will help you in your mission. And he said, I can see Sita right now. With my eyes, I can see across the ocean, and I can see there is Lanka, and in Lanka there is Sita. So there is Sita, she's sitting in Lanka in agonized in separation of Ram. So please go to her, right? Go to her, fly across the ocean, and I see that you are going to succeed in your mission. You will be able to go there. So the Vanaras who had all got, who had initially been caught in infighting, in dissension, then when they saw this huge obstacle, a huge danger of a gigantic bird coming upon them, their own petty infighting was forgotten. And now when this bird told them about the whereabouts of Sita, they immediately perked up. And then Sampati said, please help me to offer the waters for my departed brother's soul. And then they helped this giant bird to get to the sea coast. And then he offered water to his brother and offered prayers. The monkeys waited soberly, pondering the mortality of existence and pondering the precious nature of the service to the Lord that they had the opportunity to do. And then Sampati said, now that I have done my service to you, and now I have done my service to my brother, I will depart. And suddenly he closed his eyes and went into a trance, and from his body, as his body fell, a celestial being emerged from that body, and he said, the servants of Lord Ram will always be successful. Be confident and you will attain success. And he departed. So here we see that the dissension, the infighting that happened was because of the internal politics. Now, Angada was from the party of Vali, and at one level it can see Angada was from the party of Vali, Hanuman was from the party of Sugriva, and both of them were in the same group which was reputed for a particular mission, and the friction among them came in the open. But when the common danger of Sampatti and then the opportunity to do the service which they had been interested in, that came to the forefront, then that friction was forgotten. So similarly, in our case, when we are working in a group, and sometimes some past hurts, past hang-ups, past misunderstandings, they create friction. Then we need to remember and refocus on our common purpose. To the extent we focus on that which is our difference, to that extent the infighting and the friction will increase. To the extent we focus on that which is the common thing between us, to that extent our unity will become stronger. Now, all of us have our perceptions, and for us our facts are our feelings are our facts. Our feelings shape our facts, and our feelings seem to be facts for us. At the same time, feelings are not facts, and we need to remember this well. So what we need to do is fight our way through our misconceptions individually and collectively, and stay focused on the common purpose. When we come together as a team, the purpose is to achieve the goal that we want to achieve as a team. And if we let past hurts and hang-ups interfere with that common purpose, then the team will fall apart. But if we keep the common purpose in mind, and if it's an inspiring purpose, and it is the purpose that we can all share and cherish, then the past hurts and hang-ups can be overcome. So that's why when a team works together, it's vital that they share the vision that they are working towards. They feel a sense of ownership towards the purpose. So Hanuman and Angada had their own perceptions of what had actually transpired and who was responsible for the conflicts between Vali and Sugriva. And if they had just focused on arguing about the rightness about who was right and who was wrong, their friction would have become more. But rather, the commonality of the purpose, both of them were devoted to Ram. Both of them trusted the virtue of Ram, and both of them wanted to execute the mission that had been entrusted to them. And therefore, by their own sincere intention, and especially here, it was the main source of the dissension was not Hanuman. Here it was Angad. Angad's own suspicions were causing the dissension. But when the commonality of the purpose was stressed, then and when a threat came, it is a common threat for both of them. Then Angada put aside his suspicions, put aside his dissension, and galvanized himself to strive to achieve that purpose. And so can we, by focusing on the common purpose, march towards achieving that purpose. Thank you. Hare Krishna.